My last story is a story I was hired as a CIO for the Bread Banque Populaire. The Bread Banque Populaire is a medium-sized bank with its own IT department. It has the particularity of having activity in France, but also in a French island, which means that the system wakes up at 5 o'clock for those guys and shut down at 11 for those ones. This is the context. So the IT department is structured very classically. It is split between development people, develop the software, operation people that are responsible for the quality of service, that runs the software every day, and the customer service that support the end user calls, problems, etc. This is a very, very classical organization you may have seen for an IT department. This is the starting point of the story. So, as Dan suggested, when I first arrived, I was wondering what was the problem? What should I focus on? The problem basically was this. So when I asked the end user their feeling about the system, he's saying, it's totally crap. Your system is crap. Could you be a little more precise, please? And there are two main problems, actually. The system is unstable, it's freezing, it's bug. So it is not very stable as from an end user perspective. It's not accurate. Sometimes it gets figures that are not true. And the second problem is that it lacks features that the people ask and continually ask. And they don't have the features they want. So this was the challenge. Why the system is so inaccurate and stable, and why does it lack so many features that the end user needs? Again, this is quite a standard situation that you may find in another context. It is not very specific to La Bread Banque Populaire or to banks. It is the main problem of management information systems. I'll go now even deeper in the culture of the organization, the customer service. What is the customer service? We have 25 people, 120,000 calls per year, leading to 60,000 cases. 80% of them are incidents. You know, when I speak this word, what it means. An incident, it means that you receive a call from somebody that says, not really happy about it. And this situation is just stable, and it keeps the same. So they are suffering in silence, actually, because as you saw in the organization, there is no direct feedback loop. You know, you may have hundreds or thousands of calls for the same problems. You don't have a feedback loop to the development team or the production team so that you can fix the problem. Because, you know, whenever you put a boundary in an organization, you make it harder to cooperate, of course. Am I clear? I have a customer service department with a boss. I have a development department with another boss. And they do not naturally cooperate because their interests are not aligned. You know, the development interest is to make end user happy, the people that ask for projects, new projects. But they are not very incentivized for improving details or make people at the customer service, the other department, less suffering from the end user calls. So again, I had in this department a scandalized leader for this situation. So what we tried was find what what would be a bright future? If we had a magic stick, forget about what happened the last 10 years. What is your dream? What would you like? It is to fix a direction. And we end up to Gmail. Gmail. Why Gmail? Because has any of you ever called the customer service at Gmail and saying, oh, it's freezing, it doesn't work, or this feature is lacking, or this mail shouldn't be in my mailbox? There is no customer service, but but for a good reason, because the fact is that eventually a good customer service is a service you don't need to call. I mean, if you have a good product, if it's simple to use, if it's working, up and working, if it gives you accurate results, you shouldn't have to call. And this was very inspiring for the people. This is not, we were at more than 100,000 calls, so we wouldn't go to zero in a few days, of course. But this motto helped us create a direction and say, yeah, we would like the people to call less, to be more satisfied, to be more autonomous with the product. So what we said is that, okay, we're going to go with this direction, and tomorrow, what do we do? Let's start. So again, we said that it's okay to spend time on improvements. It's okay that you stop the regular job, you stop for 1 day a week, for instance, and you do an improvement. You try to manage an improvement. Your managers will support it, and I will personally animate the PDCA workshop. And why did I have to personally involve, actually? Because, as I mentioned earlier, improvements were not only bound to the customer service department. So it required that the development department moves also, or the production department moves also. And if you want the people to move, you have to create a pressure. You have to be there to say, yes, it's important, and you should do that, Mr. Development. And as several speakers mentioned as well, when you animate such workshops, trying to find root causes, the same problem arises. Same problem. People say, I have the solution. I have the solution. You don't have even the problem. I have the solution. You need this technology, Z, Y, Z. You need to fire Mr. blah, blah, blah. Everyone has a solution before. So basically, there are moments really funny, and you fight against a solution from before the root cause is identified. So I did all my studies with engineering, and now the skills that I use the most are social skills when you do that. So what happened? So we started to measure what we tried to improve. Of course, you don't improve what you don't measure. It's in French, so I will translate. On the left, you have the objectives. So you will see that we measure the customer satisfaction by polls. We have quantitative objectives about the diminution of calls. We want less calls. We measure all these results. Of course, everyone is engaged in posting PDCA that we have. Who leads the PDCA? So there are here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 PDCA and people involved in an improvement. And of course, those PDCA, they focus on the problems that will, the Pareto of causes, I mean the problem that will solve the most important number of calls. I mean, we won't focus on problems that creates 10 calls a year, but rather problems that create 10,000 calls a year. And Again, typically the result, it's very interesting to note that very simple thing can change. We had, I give you two. We had almost 10,000 calls just because, sometimes the system freezed up and the people couldn't restart their session by themselves. They had to call. And say, my session is freeze, could you please restart, blah, blah, blah. And this situation was lasting for years. 8,000 calls per year. So we just asked, go back to the root cause, realized that the root cause was the user was unable to do that by himself, and that it was possible, and then the development teams, in just a week, they add a button, restart my session. Bloom, 8,000 calls. You had things like hundreds of, not end user, but even customer calls, users of the website, the banking website, and just, again, a very small one. You had a generic error message saying, oh, this transfer between your accounts is not possible, there is a problem. Actually, the message was wrong, and the people calling, wow, your system doesn't work. But the problem was not this, the real cause was that the account, the customer itself had problem with his account, and the account was blocked. But the message was wrong. So again, it was not here a week to change the software. It was a minute. We changed the message. Hundreds of calls.